Oh, I'm sorry. Was I muted the entire time? Oh, my bad. Too loud? I'm sorry. Yeah. Hey, everybody. How is everyone doing? You're hungry? Oh, so good. Anyways, hey everybody, welcome to the weekly dev stream. Shit, I forgot to look into why I get an echo on my end. Shit, I was supposed to do that last week. Oh man, I don't have time for anything. What if I just set this to default? Oh, wait, no, that didn't fix it. Whatever, it's just on my end. Don't worry about it, it's fine. Hey everybody, welcome to the weekly dev stream. Hope you're having a good Tuesday. I'm so tired. I'm not gonna lie. I'm so tired right now. My dog woke me up in like the middle of the night. She's done that 2 times the last couple of nights. But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Anyways, it's gonna be a very chill stream today. I'll tell you that much. I'll tell you that much. What if I turn this down? No. Okay. Whatever. So kind of you all to take some time off playing Starfield to watch the stream or watch other people play Starfield, I guess. It's a good times. Anyways, welcome to the weekly live stream where I hang out and play Satisfactory for a little bit. And talk to you guys. Essentially, it's a good time. It's a good time. I think it's pretty chill. Or we should just play Starfield today, I guess. So yeah, I don't know if man, I feel like we lose more and more structure to these streams the more they go on. I get like less and less time to prepare for this shit. But yeah, we're gonna be playing Satisfactory again. We just made coal. Just finished coal. Made our first coal power plant, which should be able to hold us off for a little bit, just a little bit. And then yeah, well, I guess we'll keep up automating shit, I guess. Before we do that, we're gonna do a real quick state of dev. We'll do another state of dev in 2 hours. And one thing I'm also going to do today, potentially, is save up the Q&A section. And then at 4, we'll do like a bigger wrap up with the Q&A from the Slido thing, which you should be able to see in the bot and the chat and whatnot. We'll see if I actually commit to that. It might be frustrating, but I think it will be better for a couple of reasons. One reason is because people that tune in that just want to see like the Q&A stuff, it's a bit frustrating for them to like, if they don't want to see the gameplay thing, then they know at like, okay, but at this moment there's Q&A and there's state of dev and blah blah blah. So like, if they want to watch the VOD, they can go to that segment. If they don't want to watch that VOD, they can come back at 4 p.m. or 4 p.m. my time, that is, in 2 hours. I think it also makes it a bit easier for Marv, who does a lot of the like archiving stuff for Satisfactory. I believe it also makes it easier for him if that is like more in one place, so to speak. So if you don't know, I'm gonna be answering questions throughout the stream, by the way, too. So like maybe it's still not easy for Marv, anyways. But if you have any question, you can drop it in chat, and I'll reply as I see it. But the more structured Q&A section, we use Slido now, which is it's like actually for presenters more. So it's supposed to be like when you're presenting for an audience, you can have like an assist, like a companion thing where people can ask questions and they can take it up in the presentation. But it works in this scenario too, because I am kind of presenting to a lot of people, so it kind of works. We're using that, and if you do !AMA, you can get the link to it. I believe it is already up, so you can already post your questions there if you have anything specific. Yes, it's up. Should be. That should be the link. I'm actually gonna go to it and make sure. Because I'm so tired I don't trust myself. Yes, cool. Maybe you should date it. No, it is dated. Never mind. All right. So that's those questions. I'll save those for like the bigger Q&A section. And if you're not here, then you can check the VOD, I guess, and or check the archive website. Streaming is a performer presenting. Yeah, right. We'll do a real quick state of dev before we jump into the gameplay, though. And the state of dev is I'm gonna be like echoing information that we put out last week on our YouTube channel, so there won't be anything new here really. But so if you don't want state of dev, if you want a structured state of dev, you should watch the video. And if you want to hear me ramble about state of dev, you can stay around. Okay, so the way it is right now is we've put out a couple of patches on experimental, and there were a couple more issues that we anticipated. And at this point, we decided to go back and work on like the next patch rather than like the next like what would you call it? Like the next iteration on update 8 for experimental. That's gonna come out on experimental before we release it on early access. So right now on experimental we have like 0.8 what is it? It's like 0813 or something like that. Where are the patch notes? The latest version on experimental right now is 0812. Okay. So we found a couple of like when we were posting these patches, we were hoping to just post like one patch and we can focus working on like stabilizing the next update 8 build, which is like an engine upgrade and a couple of more things. But we ended up spending a bit more time patching and hotfixing the experimental patches that we put out, and we've decided now to sort of like postpone that because there's a lot of double work or like extra work here, because we have one release branch that is the things that you guys are seeing right now, and we have like our main branch. Every time we make a fix and we want to post it on the release branch, we need to do it on both, because we can't just merge in from the main branch to the release branch. And we can't merge from the release branch to the main branch either. So like people, whenever they do fixes, they have to do them twice now while we're in this setup. And it's a bit frustrating for people working on the game, and it slows down the overall release for update 8 on the early access branch, which is also frustrating for you guys. But it's frustrating for everyone, really, if you think about it, because it's like frustrating for people working on the game right now to have to like do extra work. It's also frustrating for people on experimental who can't get like those fixes that we're working on, and it's frustrating for people on EA who are waiting for update 8 to come out that don't want to be on experimental. So it's just a shitty situation all around, but it's just how it is until we wrap up update 8 and can release it on the early access branch and move on with our lives essentially. So it's just how it is right now, and I mean we can only be honest about it and like tell you the situation and why things are the way they are. And if you're frustrated about that, then you know we understand why you're frustrated about that. It's just how it is, I guess. I did say in the video that we won't post any more patches. There might be one last one. We actually made one patch that was originally supposed to go out last week before the video, and it ended up having issues. And I don't know if you ever decided that like, okay, let's actually push that patch, or if we decided to just be like, no, let's not deal with that shit. I think we spent a little bit more time testing that, but I don't know if that actually will go out. So like I might be like a little bit maybe set up false expectations, but there weren't anything in that patch other than fixing the like some of the crashes that are happening on experimental right now. So like if you don't run into any crashes on experimental, it wouldn't affect you anyways, other than you would need to download the patch. That's the only thing that it would affect you anyways. So yeah, the fix for science on dedicated servers should have been fixed already. That should be live now. And if it's not, shit. Tough luck. I guess we'll have to wait until 8.2. but I think the crash is out. There's like a couple of issues with signs right now. There aren't like game blockers as far as I know. There's like a couple of issues with like the small signs. It was lab. Cool. Okay. So good to know. They're broken, but they shouldn't crash the game, I think is the thing I want to like, because that was part of the fix that we were hoping to get out last week. Where yeah, exactly, like the signs are black and they're not working on dedicated servers. They're not broken, but at least they don't crash the game anymore, because they used to crash the game in while we were doing these hot fixes. And I think we're gonna leave them broken for now, and then when we get 8.2 out, that will fix the signs, because the fix for signs is already like, it's done internally. It's the whole like rigmarole of getting patch out and hotfix out and like potentially causing other issues. That means we need to put in more work to fix those issues, and it's like a never-ending spiral. And it's like, it's a whole dance we would rather not do when we could be, because we know that we're already broken stuff in the 8.2 version. So it's like we're fixing things for the game that we need to fix again, essentially. So it's like it's a whole rigmarole. So hopefully 0.8.2 will fix most of those issues, and that's when we can start doing this hot fixing again, because then we'll be on one branch, not on two separate ones again. So it will be a lot better. Oh boy, so that was essentially that, and we also did a little bit of PSA. I think I talked about this on the last stream as well, where like there's a node, there's a copper node in Northern Forest / Desert Canyons. It's like in between those two. That's producing limestone. And there's also limestone in the swamp. That's weird right now. And we actually have a little bit of an update that, because we did dig a little deeper into that issue, and it was more complex than we thought. And we were actually debating as to what the fix should be. And I think the goal is still to do what I said in the video, that like if you played on early access, you won't notice any difference. So like if you haven't played Update 8 on experimental at all, you won't notice any issues. But if you're playing on experimental and you have a miner on those nodes, then you will probably need to rebuild that miner again. So like if you have that issue now, if you rebuild it now, it'll fix it. But then when you push the fix, you will need to do it again, essentially. And we're not sure if the solution is that we will replace the nodes, or if we'll move them, or whatever the solution is. But TLDR is, if you've played Update 8 at all on experimental, and you have a miner on nodes that's not producing copper, that's supposed to be producing copper, just rebuild the miner. And you're probably gonna need to do this again in 0.8.2, because then the actual fix will come in. So like we'll go back to the way things were. If you, and I believe even if you haven't, okay, if you've loaded up a save file in 8.2 and you have the miner and it's producing limestone, even if you don't touch it, you will still need to do that for 8.2. It's only if you haven't loaded up Update at all that you won't be affected by this. But we'll see. Maybe we'll need to like make a whole addendum of this anyways, and maybe everyone needs to do it. We'll see. But that's how it is right now, at least. It's a bit weird, because like the way we see it is, it seems to be a product of the migration that we did when we went from Unreal Engine 4 to 5. And when we noticed this and we were digging into it, we realized like, this is actually more complex than we thought. And then we're like, wait, what if every node is affected? More like, what if more than these nodes are affected was our worry. So we've actually done a lot of work into like making tools to like verify these nodes, and make sure that everything's up to snuff. And that's where we sort of are right now. As the more we dig into it, the more we're like, wait, what's going on here? So that's how it is right now. I know there are a few more nodes, even on Update 7, that there's one in Blue Crater, for instance, where it looks like a iron node, but it's a SAM node. I believe that's just like visually incorrect, so it's not actually wrong with the node. So that's an easier fix. But that's the state of that, at least. So keep an eye on that. And yes. It's a note of lies, that's for sure. I mean, it's not like a huge deal. It's not like every node is affected by this. So like even if you are playing experimental, maybe that's not a big deal to have to reconfigure this. But we try to be as like we didn't initially set out to be so like if you play on updates, earlier updates, you will always be like, we always liked it that you were able to load your save files and everything would work as fine as it would. And it's sometimes we've had to make decisions where like, okay, if people have built in a certain way, they will need to rebuild it in the update because things have changed. And it, it's quite understandable when like, recipes change, or when we added pipes, for instance, that production buildings wouldn't work the way they did. So that's just how it is with early access games, and we try to be like, what's the word? Supportive. No, we try to support the game as much as we can in the earlier versions, but sometimes it's quite hard to do it. So yes, I think that was it, right? What else did I talk in the video? I talked about the Steam patching thing, which I also talked about last week, which I also think, watch the video because you'll get a better backward compatible. That's the word I was looking for. Exactly. That's what we're doing. We're doing the best we can with backward compatibility, but we can't promise backward compatibility due to how development is, essentially. And we have some, we put a lot of work into some of these aspects, such as our save file system. Like we can always account for what you've done in the past for save files, but we can't account for what we're doing in the future because we don't know what we're doing in the future. So that's why you can always load older save files, but you can't load newer ones, if that makes sense. Like if you're on update 7, you load an update 8 save file, like that's not gonna jive. But I think we still attempt to load it or something like that. I'm not quite sure how that works. I can't remember because it was a while since I checked into this. But anyways, long story short, glad you're all here. Check the video we put out, and honky dory. Yes. Just checking chat here if there's anything I missed that's important. The fact that you have my save file loading in 10 minutes and saving in 10 minutes loading a save file is nutty. Was 25 minutes. That's pretty good. I mentioned last week, I think, that like we actually put some effort into the saving should be faster and the loading should also be faster. And someone mentioned like, I think loading is slower. I'm like, I don't think that's true, but I bet it feels like that. Because how things are, we're always like working against people. So like whenever we optimize the game, if like in one time, you have like one snapshot, right? Or like this is how performant the game is right now, like how much you can do with the save file and your factory and whatnot. And then we optimize it, and then as we're optimizing it, people keep like pushing the boundary and reaching that limit. And then we optimize it so people go further, and then they hit it again. So it's like we're constantly fighting each other, and I don't think we're ever gonna win, to be honest. It's like it's a never-ending battle. So that's just how it is, I guess. There's an issue with tamed Doggos disappearing on dedicated servers. Please let us know on the QA site, and we'll look into it once we get to. Once we actually have time to work on dedicated servers, actually, because dedicated servers are sort of not our priority, and they haven't been for a while, but hopefully they can be at some point. I hope. I mean, when we reach 1.0, I really hope we have proper dedicated server support. I'm very tired. I'm sorry, chat. It's like, it's going to be a wild one today. It's gonna be a doozy. Anyways, without further ado, because that was it. That was tentative. Now I'm gonna fall asleep playing the game. I can't stop thinking about the comment I received a couple of streams ago where someone's like, could you stop shitting on the game so much? And I'm like, no promises. No promises. Like, I just say it how it is, man. I think this is a natural thing with when you play a game for a long time, you become very how would you describe this? Like, small things matter more. So like if you have any like small quirks or irks that bother you, like the more you play, the more those like small things become bigger issues. So like sometimes when we talk to people that have played the game for thousands and thousands of hours, they're like, there's a game breaking issue with the game, you have to fix it now. And we're like, okay, what is it? And it's like, the shadows flicker a little bit here. And like, we can barely reproduce it ourselves. But it's like, for them, it's like the biggest, I'm not downplaying that, by the way. For them, it is the biggest issue. Like, it's super annoying for them. But we always have to think about like the game as a whole, like for everyone playing it, like what is the best course of action. So that is one thing. I'm booting up the game now, by the way, which is also like a good segue to like maybe saying also that I'm gonna make a video about this, by the way, at some point. We're talking about like the issues that are in the game right now, like the bugs that we have, and what we aim to do when it comes to like the 1.0 release, because we're not going to be able to fix everything in the game. Like, we're not going to be able to fix everything, like all the small bugs that people are running into. There's always going to be like there are released games with bugs. That's just how it is, right? But talking about like sort of where we find the balance, you know, like what is an acceptable bug for a 1.0 release, essentially. Uninstalling. Good. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to see. Yeah, exactly. Like when you see the tiny thing over and over and over again. Because like, in my opinion, a lot of the biggest issues in the games aren't the fact that like, you know, your blade runners show up when you're in hypertubes, or that gas mask doesn't work in the car, which is, I think, is annoying. That definitely is a bug that I think should be fixed for 1.0. But like, it's the small, like the guidelines not working, like that's more annoying to me than, you know, that parachutes make you go upward and shit like that, because I don't really encounter that too much, and it's also not super annoying. Like the impact, I think, on players is very different. It's very hard to prioritize. Anyways, scene.